Whoops. Welcome to the Whiskey Vault. I'm Dana Weedington, Chancellor of Wizard Academy Whiskey Marketing School and a Level 4 Whiskey Sommelier. Penelope. And today we're going to talk about Rube Goldberg. I had this revelation the other day. I have a lot of smart friends. And I've learned a lot from them. And every once in a while, I stumble onto really incredible ideas in my brain. All the time, really. My brain is crafting and piecing and coming up with like magical schemes and cool solutions and intricate this, that, and the other. And I'll build it in my head, and it will become this just like really elaborate, flawless kind of cannot possibly fail idea. It's like an OK Go music video, if you've ever watched them. That's why it's Rube Goldberg. And I look at it, the idea, in my mind and think, damn, that's a good idea. You're really smart. And it couldn't possibly fail. This smells really interesting. Couldn't possibly fail. And then I take it out of the laboratory of my brain and I operate it in the real world and it fails. And then I think, this is always your first instinct when you are someone who works this way. I think, it's not the idea. The idea is fine. It's a great idea. It's flawless, really. It was the execution. That was the problem. And so it just wasn't executed perfectly. And that leads you down the path of what we can say nicely is micromanagement. Right? Oh, the idea that was flawless completely failed and bombed. Not your fault. You're obviously brilliant. It must have been other people's fault. So we need to get this thing executed exactly like it is in my head. And you start micromanaging every little detail and you get it and you think you've got it under control and you launch it and it fails. And if you let it, this cycle will eat you alive, right? There's a reason though. And that's because, and I've thought this for a long time, it's only recently I started to get this clarity of language around it. Any system that doesn't account for human beings is destined to fail. All the perfect ideas don't account for humans. Okay, I'll come back to that. Penelope. Penelope is a brand sourcing and doing weird stuff with it. And on this one, this is build number 12, 4-year-old Architect series. They say they're trying to perfect the the irony that I didn't realize I chose these guys. They're trying to perfect the most intricate, perfect, flawless blend ever crafted using science and math. Cannot possibly fail. I hope it tastes good. Everything that's in here sounds like it is going to taste good. When you are aging barrels of whiskey, there's a lot of variables, and not just production, but you put things in barrels, and even from there on, the tree variation is different. The stave variation is different. You can put the same run off a still in 6 barrels, put them side by side in a rickhouse, and 4 years later have 6 totally different tasting spirits. They might be in the same family or close, but they'll be different, and you will be able to recognize which one came from which of the 6 barrels. And in a real world, that's why blenders exist, because their job is to create Maker's Mark 46. And you got to do that from mixing stuff together and recreating that same flavor profile. And you can't just pick, well, these barrels are all 4. And I've been at craft distilleries where they literally like, we need a 4-year-old release. So just like grab all the barrels that are 4 and dump them into a tank. And my heart goes, oh no, you can't do that. That's not how that works. But I've seen it done many times. What they have been doing is partnering with a French cooperage. And I'm going to butcher the pronunciation because I don't speak French, but it's Tonnerie Radu? Tonnerie Radu? Anyway, it's a cooperage, barrel manufacturing, and they have started playing around with this process they call oak scan, where they do a laser scan of the staves as they go through into barrel construction, and they give you this like highly intricate data read of exactly what the chemical component and tannin structure of that oak stave is. And then you can look at those and make decisions about which ones you want to use in assembling your barrels for your product. You can be very specific about, well, that one is really high tannin, we want low tannin staves. So we'll take these 5 that showed a lower report. And so they did stave inserts, sort of like Maker's Mark 46 is doing, and French oak. And that's why when I picked it up, I was like, ooh, that's nice. French oak, if you're used to it, has, and you're experienced with French oak, especially in bourbon, it brings this like really spicy note, black pepper, hard clove, really dark spice note to what would normally be a softer, sweeter bourbon. It just turns up all the spice. It doesn't turn up the burnt wood dryness. It turns up the spice of the wood notes. But this also smells like old oak furniture, dusty. But it's also very clove, cinnamon, spice. Interesting. It smells, there's an orange citrus in there, and I'm pretty sure this is MGP. I don't know that to be the case, because it just says bottled by Penelope and they don't say who made it, which I find very annoying. And it's technically illegal. Anyway, whatever. I think it's MGP that they then did this oak stave treatment to. And MGP makes amazing whiskey. Yeah, even on the palate, it feels, I wonder if I'm wrong, I would love to know. Put it in the comments and I will edit the descriptions and be like, I was wrong, it wasn't. But this tastes and now smells like an oak cupboard holding one of those Christmas things you do where you put an orange and stab cloves into it and set it on your mantle in your house to make things smell good during the holiday season. Take one of those and shove it in an antique wood cupboard. Interesting. Okay. Humans. Perfect, flawless ideas that don't account for human frailty are bound to fail. In a Rube Goldberg machine, go Google it and you'll watch the video. Go watch an OK Go video. You have a ball and it rolls down and it goes down this ramp and then it hits this thing and it unleashes this and that does this thing and the ball launches over and lands in this funnel and goes down here and then comes and it just does this journey. And if you're building a Rube Goldberg machine and any part of that doesn't work, you just move it slightly until it does work. If it rolls down the ramp and hits that but it doesn't knock it over, well, you move it a little further until it does. And you just perfect each component. And then at the very end, you walk to the first part and go click, and then it does this like 19 step, and you're like, wow, magic. But in a real world of real ideas, it's not a ramp that carries that ball down and hits that domino and knocks it over. It's a person. You hand the ball to this person. Their job is to get it over there and knock down that thing, and then hand the ball to this guy who does that. And every time you add another human being, then it becomes inherently unpredictable. Humans have bad days. They're tired sometimes. Sometimes they're lazy. Sometimes they're really hardworking and overachieve, and they do too much on. There's variation, and then you get into the consumer market, and oh man, talk about unpredictable. And your flawless plan all of a sudden no longer flawless. So this is just a reminder that the best ideas have to take into account that they're going to be implemented by broken human beings. And if your flawless plan doesn't accommodate that, the solution isn't micromanaging your people because they're screwing up your brilliant idea. The answer is you don't actually have a great idea. It felt good to you, but if it doesn't work, it's not actually a good idea. Sorry. I hope that's helpful. Cheers to you, and I'm really glad you're here. If you like being told that your genius idea is actually dumb and won't work and it's your problem, you should like and subscribe to this channel.